Welcome to Epochal Growth. I'm Sarah Caminiti. This is episode 4 of Epochal Growth. And the guest today is Blair Wilen. Blair is the CEO and co-founder of Ethos Support, a values-driven BPO. I've had the pleasure of knowing Blair for close to a year now, and something we don't talk about on the podcast was I found Blair when I was looking for a flexible BPO. And when Blair told me about what his mission was with Anne to create a BPO where the agents were valued and they really wanted to keep them around and fight that attrition rate, there was so much passion, and I believed every single thing that he told me was what he knew to be true, and he was going to do everything that he could to make it happen. And I did something that I've never done before. I wrote him a letter after I got off the call, and I told him that I was going to be a part of Ethos Support's journey in some capacity at some point. And I said to my husband, this is something really special, and I need to talk to him again. And we've kind of been talking ever since. I had a really hard time naming this episode because I wanted to highlight so much of what Blair does and make sure that you knew going into this that you were going to be hearing about a CEO and a co-founder of a bootstrapped BPO that was different and actually stood by everything that he was saying. And first I was trying to figure out a way to make a title out of nearly 0% attrition. Then I was trying to make a title about a BPO that becomes a transformative guide for companies. And then I remembered that Blair mentioned progressive ambition. And I think that sums up this journey that he is on so perfectly because he's very thoughtful in his approach. Both he and Anne are so thoughtful and intentional in what they do, and they realize starting small is how you ignite change. And that's what they're doing. They know where Ethos will probably end up, and they're making these small impacts, planting these seeds, and it's starting to build. And so instead of getting so caught up in the what ifs and the whens and the why aren't we's, instead they're in the moment and they're saying yes. And it's so cool to see. I don't want to give too much away. To everybody that's returning, thank you so much. To everybody new, hello. I'm so excited that you're here, and I can't wait for you to meet Blair. I'm Sarah Caminiti. This is Epochal Growth, Progressive Ambition.
All right. Well, I'm Blair Wilen. I am the founder and CEO of Ethos Support. Ethos Support is a CX transformation company. We are a BPO, Business Process Outsourcer, but we like to transform brands, customer experience, whether you are just outsourcing your customer support for the first time, or you are looking at new strategies to implement technology processes and people and overhaul your customer experience. I could go way back in the intro, but that's the good stuff. I live in Austin, Texas, and I've got an amazing co-founder named Ann Bibb, and she's our COO. She oversees all of our operations, our service delivery, our employee experience, our client experience. I oversee all of our brand, sales, marketing, revenue, and we check each other's work. We work really closely together.
You guys are a powerful team, and I'm so excited that you're here. I've known Blair. Blair, I've known you now for almost a year.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And I met Blair because my employer at the time, we were needing some help with weekend support, and it's hard to find a place that will customize low volume situation and really just kind of work with you to make it exactly what you need. And I was so lucky to be able to find Ethos and get to know Blair and Anne, and we used their services and they're wonderful. But I've been just so lucky that I've been able to continue this conversation with you and with Anne as well. And I love what you're doing, and I love what you stand for, and I love that you're vocal about it. And Blair, you are a good person to have around, and so I'm excited for Ethos and everything that you're accomplishing.
Yeah, I feel the same about you. There's a reason we maintain a relationship beyond the client vendor relationship for sure, and I think we always will. I feel like I've known you forever, even though we haven't even met in person, which is still crazy. But yeah, we're a little old school at Ethos. Like I am a little irritated that in the last 5 or 7 years, like companies have kind of, there used to always be a phrase like the customer is always right, like 80s, 90s, early 2000s. The customer is always right. And that just like seems like it's died. Like now it's, hey, I built this product and you're going to fit in it.
Mhm.
And for better or worse, I like saying yes to almost everything and giving almost everything a go. So you need to share team support. You just need people you can tap into on the weekends. We were excited to solve that challenge. And so, uh, we call ourselves the world's most flexible BPO.
You are.
Couldn't do that if we were saying no all the time.
It's true. It's
So it
true.
was exciting to help.
It's a great mentality, especially, I mean, with a support background, it definitely helps of being a little bit more able to connect with the customer if you're approaching it from I want to understand you, I want to learn more about you, instead of putting those walls up very quickly. But with the customer is always right mentality, with the shift now of how there's so many products that do so many things that are very similar. And if you don't like one corner of it, then you lose them, and they go somewhere else to test the waters over there. But have you found, because something that I admired so much about you, Blair, and the way that you and Ann are building Ethos, is your dedication to the actual people that you hire and the way that you treat them. And with both of those scenarios, of the customer's always right, and then also if the customer doesn't like it, they can leave. There is often a lot of weight that gets put on the individual support agent for responsibility for those
Hmm.
scenarios of the
For
customer is
sure.
always right and you give too much, then what are you doing? Or they left, what did you do? And it's a quick shift.
Yeah.
What have you felt with the different places that you've been interacting with and the space that you've built at Ethos to change that?
Yeah, related to kind of employee workload and work stress. I mean, it's funny. We try to address that through. I mean, we have three core values that kind of speak to that, but really we just kind of have a company culture that and really how our brand and product was built that is worked to target against that. Like one of the things that we built Ethos Support for is to tackle the really, really ugly attrition number that persists in the outsourcing space. And by last count, that was 38% attrition in 2023. Basically, what that means is agents are constantly leaving. And what that means is clients are constantly having to, through their BPOs or through their own brand, constantly having to rehire new people, retrain them, stand them up, only for them to leave again. And you're just stuck, for lack of a better term, chasing the queue.
Mhm.
And so we built our operation to beat that number, to greatly exceed that number. We advertise less than a 5% attrition rate. Frankly, that number is, I'll just say, much, much closer to zero. Our agents don't leave. And, not to go too deep into it, but that's because we put employee experience right on par with client experience. We're not into like fancy offices and beanbag chairs and ping pong tables. What we are into is allowing people to be themselves at work through our core value of embracing individuality, fostering collaboration, working together. But we're really just about paying people well and treating them well. And what that means is, first of all, we pay 2 to 3x the average market rate. And treating them well means not overworking them. Like
Mhm.
there's this long, outstanding evolution of BPO where you're outsourcing for wage arbitrage and to get cheap offshore personnel. And what that means is you're just trying to squeeze as much juice out of them as you can. Like BPO is historically packing people in a room like sardines and just squeezing out as much work of them, putting two people's workload on one desk. And we kind of want to flip that on its head. Are we the cheapest provider? No, you can always go find a cheaper provider in BPO. You can go find companies that'll pay people literally $5 a day. That's never going to be us. we want to give people reasonable workloads. And we believe in that as like almost a revolutionary concept that you're going to give someone the proper amount of work that they can handle. What does that mean? That means they're going to enjoy the work that they're doing. It means that the customer experiencing the support interaction is going to enjoy it more because they are actually getting a thoughtful, empathetic interaction. So it's a win-win for all parties. We're very hesitant. We're very cautious of how much work is going on any individual agent. If we sense any sort of stress or overload on one particular person's desk, we have mechanisms to get them additional support to kind of relieve it. And we will quickly go to our clients and say, like, look, we've got to change the model here and make sure that we are staffing this appropriately. We'll walk away from business if that's not the case. So we're very, very conscious of that and how it relates to the employee experience.
And what a great message that you're giving to the companies that end up meeting you. Even if they don't end up signing the contract, you are planting a
Hmm.
seed of, yeah, we know what else is out there. We know what's going on with
Hmm.
BPOs. We're going to call it for what it actually is and remind you that you can also do things in a way that's kind and thoughtful, and the results end up being well worth the investment because of what your customers are feeling, what the agents are able to accomplish. It's just much more of like a sky's the limit if you give folks the foundation that they need.
Yeah, 100%. Like we always write about and talk about the Chick-fil-A paradox. Like you might I don't want to spoil SD Expo. We'll be talking about this a bit, but you may be surprised to hear that Chick-fil-A out of the top 10 fast food establishments is by far the slowest
Mhm.
drive-through.
Yes, it is.
Customers easily sit in the Chick-fil-A drive-through for longer than any other establishment. Yet every single time you drive by a Chick-fil-A, what do you see? You see a line,
Yeah.
right? You normally see a line
Hospitality.
spilling out into the street.
Yeah.
People are willing to wait. And like, is their chicken good? Yeah, it's good. But is it like really that much better than any of the other options? Or is it the experience that you have going through a Chick-fil-A drive-through? They have hospitality at every single touch. They make sure that they take care of you and acknowledge your wait and service it properly. They have someone standing there with a tablet. They're trained to say "my pleasure." They're checking in with you on a hospitality, basis, basically at every single step of the way. And what does that equal for them? They're the slowest drive-through, but they're constantly rated number one in order accuracy, number one in customer satisfaction, and they're the number one restaurant in revenue per location. And they're closed on Sundays.
No
Like
way.
they are putting themselves at a competitive disadvantage, and they are by far the number one revenue per location fast food establishment. So that is the result that you get if you staff appropriately and you put customer service at the front of your business.
No, that is yes, that is exactly the like perfect model example because we visually can see that every single time we drive by a Chick-fil-A, and it's not even like at normal meal hours. It is non-stop
Yeah,
out
yeah,
into the road,
yeah,
and that speaks volumes because it's fast food and you're taking the same amount of time as you would going into to another like fast casual place
for sure.
that you could sit at. But no,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
something that companies need to remember when they're thinking about the realities of the customer experience and the impact of the customer experience. And when you've been having your chats with the companies that reach out to Ethos, what has been the trend and kind of the vibe that you get from them when you start talking about what the purpose of Ethos is?
Yeah, so I think our clients, when they find us, they're really surprised at how much they hear yes. Almost as they're like, all right, I'm just saying whatever we need to hear. But the answer is no. Like we want to deliver on everything that we say. So there's a couple trends that we notice. Number one, we know that we hit the nail right on the head when it comes to flexibility. There is absolutely no reason that any BPO outside of their own business interests should have minimum team sizes or minimum term contracts. There's no reason. Every BPO should be putting the pressure on them and taking it as a privilege for them to perform on behalf of their clients. And so we know that people, when they are outsourcing customer support, or when they're running customer support, not even if they're outsourcing it, but if they're just running a customer support team, you would know, you need flexibility. Like you don't know when things are going to get
Mhm.
busy. You need, the ability to jump on and jump off. And so, we're seeing people respond really, really well to that. The other trend we're seeing is, I don't want to be, one thing I try to avoid is talking too much about AI because you see it on every single corner. But we are seeing that people want to use AI, but they want to use it, as a tool, as an addition, as a part of their customer experience and journey. Most businesses, especially the ones that are, just start standing up support for the first time, they still place huge value and they understand the huge value between by having customers interact with humans. All the things around refining all of your processes, showing empathy, building out better documentation, having a feedback loop so people can understand sentiment about the product. People value that hugely early on. And only until you understand that can you really understand how you can best inject AI and deliver the best customer experience. So we're seeing a lot of curiosity around AI. We're seeing some value added on some bigger accounts, but we're really seeing that they care about that human touch and having a handful of agents to still be on the front lines.
It makes sense. And I'm glad to hear that those early stage building a support function within their company, folks are not thinking of the band-aid
Mhm.
or the shiny toy, or, they're actually approaching it in a thoughtful way of like, we want to do this right. And we are going to do it right. So we're going to hire people that allow us to confidently secure ourselves for the future and give us the space that we need to grow. And by having such a flexible model that you present, you really, by saying yes, you're approaching this in a way of, we know you're going to grow. We want to
Yeah,
support you through your entire
exactly.
journey. And so why wouldn't we want to be here in the very beginning and lay that groundwork with you?
Exactly. Yeah. And we saw larger BPOs that got to where they were, off the backs of one and two and three agent teams. We've seen them move up market and start to abandon, their roots. And that's the big opportunity for us. But, we know CX is also changing a lot with AI and other tools. We want to be a part of that journey. Every single one of these AI tech companies, what they need is a strong professional services partner to help implement their technology and make
Mhm.
sure that that message is getting out to end users. And it's a very, very ever evolving, complex, and widespread landscape. I think it's a privilege that we get to be involved with that. That we have a seat at the table early. Then we can make sure that they are doing the right things early on in their evolution. And I think you and I both know, like, all things even with how commoditized pretty much every marketplace is now, every industry, every product, you can stand up something pretty damn close to Salesforce in a couple of weeks now. We all know what the differentiator is at the end of the day. And we like to be playing in that differentiated space and making sure that the clients that we work with do have support as a true differentiator in their offering.
Yeah, no, that's so fantastic. And it is true. I mean, it's totally true. It's what sets you apart. It's what shows your customers like who you are and what you stand for and what your values are, and do they match what they say on the company website. And it's always a missed opportunity when something as simple as, even though, I mean, the area of CX is not a simple space when you really get into the nitty gritty of it, but the idea of approaching this as a chance to make your business better instead of, oh, there are those people asking those questions, why
Yeah,
can't they figure this
yeah.
out? It makes such a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah, it's funny. Like we view customer acquisition as such a critiqued metric by CMOs, CFOs, and it's so damn hard and expensive to acquire a customer. Like we view customer support as another hugely valuable part of customer experience. And again, none of this is too complex, but we just don't see people thinking about it this way. When you buy something on a website, you're always going to get so many different touch points to increase order value, get you to stay with that brand, get you to refer a friend, right? You're going to have, the sponsored products. You're going to have, this is purchased with XYZ. You're going to have, in the cart, you're going to have more impulse buys. If you leave it in your cart, you're going to get the abandoned cart email. After the purchase, you're going to get the
Hmm.
follow-up email with the survey. You're going to get incentivized to sign up for their email newsletter and get their marketing for their products. You're going to get enticed to be put into a subscription and get a free gift and stay with them, right? So there's all these different things where people are saying, okay, in the marketing journey, how can we increase order value, increase customers, increase referrals? But why do people dread the support interaction? Like, why do they not leverage the support interaction as another touch point to increase all of those metrics? One example is if you have, we work with a company that sells olive oil, right? And they have subscriptions. They have, single oils. They have 4 packs. You can buy as much oil as you want, right? It's a really great company. And one thing that we're piloting with them is, look, when someone comes in, like first and foremost, address the issue. Did it go to the wrong address? Do they need to update this? Do they have a question about an ingredient? Whatever it may be. But hey, while I have you, like, what do you think of the Hoji Blanca olive oil? Oh, I love it. It's great. I just made a salad with it. That's awesome. Mother's Day is right around the corner. Or do you have any friends that, might be interested in trying our olive oil? Here's a 15% off coupon for you. That's good for 3 days. Treat someone, who you love to the oil as well. It's good for a 4 pack. And we'd love to know what they think. And you've solved their experience. You've shown that you actually care about their thoughts about the product, and you've offered them an opportunity to add an order or to spread your brand to another customer. And you eat a little bit of margin, but you force them into, say, a 4 pack and make sure that that average order value is higher. And I think if you do that at scale, suddenly you're looking at that as support investment, and you are saying, I'm legitimately making a profit, or at the very least, absorbing some of the costs of running a support function. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's such a differentiator, not just in a holistic sense of, oh, people love my service and they love my brand, but like literally add incremental sales to the business by leveraging a trained, upselling and cross-selling support team.
Yeah. Well, and it's the biggest piece of all of that is what you are exactly doing at Ethos of making it so that the agents can actually pause. Like
Hmm.
that's the only way any of this is
True.
possible. Like
Yeah.
if you want to have people upsell and there's I think there's certain times and places
Hmm.
for using that sort of leverage, but the only way you're going to be able to figure that out is if the agent is able to take a breath
Hmm.
and absorb the information and think about what those next steps are that make sense for this one specific person, and then you can make those connections and then you can make those choices where it doesn't feel like, oh, okay, well, now they just gave me some other random thing and I'm not going to come back because I just wanted an
Yeah.
answer to this one question. But if you could read the room,
Yeah.
like
Exactly. Yeah, you don't
that
want like your
that's
daughter
helpful.
having an allergic attack to an olive oil and then like, by the way, Mother's Day is coming up. Definitely read the room. Don't just click a quick macro and send it for lack of a better term. Like think about it, think about where it makes sense, continually get trained on it. And you learn to recognize it and it becomes second nature.
It's true. Yeah, because if you're a skilled support professional, and to be good at support, you have a skill set that is different than any other profession. You have to analyze things at a level that it's tough. You don't really find those opportunities elsewhere to be able to like really think about what is that one moment that caused this person to not be able to continue on their own, and building support functions. And you've got such a cool opportunity with what you're doing of, we don't want you to have to reach out to support, so we're going to build this so that
Hmm.
you have the tools that you need. We're able to flag things and talk to the product team or the UX team about things as they pop up so that you don't run into these things all the time. But when you do, you've got someone that gives you a safe space to ask questions, follow-up questions. You're not rushed, and it is an experience instead of a headache.
Yeah, 100%. You nailed it right on the head. I think that's exactly what we're working on, and you definitely get it.
Well, it's something that I hope, because of places like Ethos, that it starts to connect. And I think with AI, it's allowing conversations that were not had before of what the role in support could be. And it's because we're talking about the data. We're talking about, like, what are those extra things that are going on in someone's head when they're looking at this ticket, because AI is putting it on their website
Yeah,
of all of these things that they're going to do, and they're necessary.
yeah.
They're very necessary, and there's a place for AI and there's a place for the support agent in order to get that extra space. But you have to create a foundation on your team and the culture as a company to establish that this is something that we are going to take seriously.
Yeah, and I mean, like, speaking just from our kind of offshore agents, right? Like our overseas agents, like, they love it. They come to Ethos and it's just a breath of fresh air. They are typically coming from a place where they are just working through a queue. They're measured only on efficiency metrics. They've been inundated and overworked for, years sometimes. And they've got monitoring software. They're going into an office and, traveling 2 hours, each way, each day. I mean, like, that's never going to create an environment where that person is going to, you know, be a positive impact to your customer's experience. At the maximum, all they're going to do is tackle a queue. And are they even going to tackle it well, or correctly? I mean, some of the performance can speak for itself, right? But then they get to Ethos. First of all, they're paid like they deserve to be paid, 2 to 3x their local living wages. They're working from home. First time they've been, treated like adults, right, and not a number or a child. No monitoring software per se. Of course, we have some mechanisms to keep our clients' data safe, but nothing crazy. No mouse tracking. Nothing around there. So they're given this. They're empowered, right? Like, they suddenly, as much as you can send them a hat from your client and tell them, like, hey, your client loves you and you're part of the family. Now let's get to work. No, like, this person feels like they're a part of that team. They feel like they are part of a supportive culture. They feel like they can take care of each of those interactions. They want to be a part of that customer experience improvement. So yeah, it's been really exciting to see. And we just need to get the word out and get a lot more businesses to think about the investment differently and talk about these things differently. But luckily, we're seeing, you asked about trends earlier, luckily we're seeing clients trend that way. I mean, not to go deep into the history of outsourcing support specifically, but 50 years ago, you didn't talk about the word outsourcing. You have these massive players that have 500,000 people, hidden in cubes around the world. And then 20, 30 years ago, you have a kind of or we'll say 10, 15 years ago, you have new age BPOs where, hey, we're not afraid to say the word outsourcing. We care about people. We take care of people. And we're just trying to ride that train and take it much, much, much further, and really empower agents and better customer experiences. So yeah, it's been exciting.
I love it. And what I love most about it is how you're not afraid to say it. Like, saying the quiet stuff out loud is
For sure.
not something that happens in the support world very often. And you say, we can do better.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
totally do better. There's no excuse
Mhm.
not to do better. And you built a whole company off of just doing better.
Yeah. I got a whole list of things you're not supposed to say. So.
I love it.
But that's all right. That's why we're here, right? We're trying to change this world, trying to change our agents' world, trying to, impact the people that we get to work with. And that's kind of our driving mission is just, improving, customer experiences through, any form of commerce, um, and doing that and making a major impact on clients' lives, agents' lives,
Yeah.
and that's what drives us. So yeah, we always say, like, we just want to make the right decision. People say, what's your exit strategy? What's your plan? Where do you see the business going? I'm a big believer in progressive ambition. Like Mark Zuckerberg, when he, first started Facebook, he just wanted to, you know, get everyone on Harvard to download it, right? And then suddenly he wanted everyone in the Ivy League to download it. And then he said, okay, let's have every campus download it. And then he said, okay, let's have everyone in America download it. Then let's have everyone in the world download it. And now the guy wants to own the metaverse. So it's like, look,
Yeah.
right now, let's just, you know, give these companies an entry point to outsourcing. Let's treat our agents amazingly. Let's make a bet that we can tackle the attrition problem and still make clients really, really, really happy. And we'll just continue to make the right decisions minute after minute, hour after hour, day after day, week after week. And we're betting on the sum of all those parts adding up to a beautiful conclusion.
I think
I
that it
hope
will. And
so.
you've got Anne, and you two communicate so well together, and that shows with what you're doing and how you're able to stay so true to your mission, to your value, to your purpose. And that's a good team. That's what you want.
Yeah, she's a killer partner. I'm lucky. In the business world, she's definitely our better half. So she's yeah,
I
it's
think you
funny.
guys
You meet
are the
anyone and they're like,
awesome.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, I know Ann Bibb. I'm like, do you know Ann? And they're like, well, I've been following her for years. I'm like, Ann, you got the clout on lock. I mean, if I had 1% of your
Yes, she
clout,
does.
we I could really hold my own with you. But yeah, no, I appreciate it, and
No,
she's amazing. So lucky to have her for sure.
you're a good team. You're a good team, and I'm lucky to have met both of you.
Likewise.
And while we're thank you. While we're coming to a close on this beautiful conversation, and hopefully not the last, I do want to know what era you find yourself in now, or what era do you see yourself entering? The reason why I ask this question is because the word epical is of incredible significance. So it's something that transforms into a new era. And I was thinking about that a lot, and how the space of CX is right now, and how we're all just changing and trying, and things are changing so rapidly, and our focuses need to shift. So I'm always just curious, like, what is your focus right now? Where are you seeing yourself
Yeah.
in the near
Yeah. This
future?
kind of ties into the progressive ambition, how we view ourselves now and how we think
Exactly.
we'll because the hardest thing about running a business is some days you feel like you're going to take over the industry and some days you're like, why the heck did I do this? But the era that
Yeah.
we see right now is just kind of pronouncing ourselves in the market and telling people that, you're asking for flexibility and we're here to meet that. Every company deserves access to outstanding outsourcing, management, QA, training, and a global talent pool. Every single company should have access to that. And we're here to deliver that for them. As far as where we kind of see the company going or what era is in the future, we view, BPO as being an outsourced customer transformation partner. We think that people will come in to our pipeline and say, I need help with customer experience, and we will build frameworks around what tools you need, how you're going to implement those and phase them in, how you are going to manage those on an ongoing basis. And always, you're still going to need absolutely amazing people that do not leave and low attrition. And
Yep.
so, in the intro, I say we're a customer transformation company. Right now, I'd say that's ambitious. We're a BPO that is evolving into a CX transformation company, and that's our long term vision. And I think we'll be better positioned than anyone else to do that with our focus on people.
I think,
So I hope that
yep.
helps. I hope
I
that
think so.
answers the question. That's a tricky one. I
It
dig
does
it.
answer the question. I know it's good. I think that sums it up perfectly, and I love how thoughtful you are about, the reality is right now we are a BPO, but we are laying the groundwork. We're having the
Yeah,
conversations. We are making sure everyone knows that even if we change, like, the core of who we are is still going to just only get better. And that is what's going to be shown through the CX
yeah, yeah,
transformation.
100%. Um, we've got a lot of opinions and thoughts about where things are going, and I know most importantly, the clients are confused and overwhelmed, and um, we want to be someone they can turn to and count on, like we've been for so many others early in their journey. So that'll just continue to evolve and grow. And yeah, I'm extremely bullish and extremely excited about where things are headed.
So excited for you. I'm going to send anyone I can over your way whenever I hear
Appreciate
that
you.
they're looking. And if you are looking for a flexible BPO, please take a look at Ethos Support, with knowing that you're going to be going into a company that has those values that you definitely want to be connected to.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Blair. And that's another episode of Epochal Growth. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe, please subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and you can also find us and subscribe on Growth Support's YouTube page. New episodes are coming every Tuesday. I am Sarah Caminiti. Thank you so much for spending this time with me.